Hey guys, okay. Okay, some girls reporting on my urban myth channel. And actually, that's just kind of a joke. I've tried to explain this. And I did change it from craze. That was a nickname someone gave me in high school. So, whatever. Um, I don't know why. I really don't think I was that over the top. But, okay. So, we have a lot of shit going on with. Mm, let's start with this and then I'll tell you where I'm going with it. So, this is, I don't know if you guys have heard this video or not. It looks like there were 57,000 likes. So, this was put out recently. Not, as you know, I have been kind of under the weather and stuff. So, let's do it.
Watching this, it means they got me.
Oops. I'm not sure if you can hear this. It might be kind of loud. Just my volume is kind of screwed up. I have like a fan going here that it's making quite a bit of. It's an industrial fan, so it's loud. Okay, let's see. Bookmark this. Okay, let's bring it back. Bring it up so we can focus on it.
If you're watching this, it means they got me. My dead man switch activated automatically after I missed 2 scheduled check-ins. I had it set up months ago because I knew this day was coming. I did not die by accident. I was murdered to keep their secrets buried. My name is Virginia Louise Giuffre. I was one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I survived Little St. James, but survival came at a price. I saw too much, knew too much, and now they've silenced me. But it's too late for them. They thought killing me would bury their secrets, but this video is going to a few organizations I trust, ones that have been exposing the truth for decades. You know who you are. It's your job to continue this fight. I was 16 when they reeled me in. I worked at Mar-a-Lago, folding towels, cleaning lockers. My father kept the tennis courts immaculate. We were just working folks trying to scrape by. Trump, he was around, but he was never the threat. The real predator was Ghislaine Maxwell, prim and proper, smiling, promising to teach me massage therapy at the Pink Mansion in Palm Beach. I had no idea I was being fed into a nightmare machine. Epstein's Island was hell disguised as paradise. You've heard some names.
Starting this
If
over.
you're watching this, it means they got me. My dead man switch activated automatically after I missed 2 scheduled check-ins. I had it set up months ago because I knew this day was coming. I did not die by accident. I was murdered to keep their secrets buried. My name is Virginia Louise Giuffre. I was one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. I survived Little St. James, but survival came at a price. I saw too much, knew too much, and now they've silenced me. But it's too late for them. They thought killing me would bury their secrets, but this video is going to a few organizations I trust, ones that have been exposing the truth for decades. You know who you are. It's your job to continue this fight. I was 16 when they reeled me in. I worked at Mar-a-Lago, folding towels.
So, 16 years old. Um, I was very independent, but at that point in life, and I mean, as you know, I mean, I used to drive all over the state by myself. I've talked about this. I hung out with much older people, um, between 3 and 5 or 6 years older than me, like consistently. And I was very responsible. I was required to work 5 days a week by my parents personally. Um, but as far as having sex or whatever, no. Would I make out with a guy? Kissing? Yeah. And that's the extent of it. The people I hung out with were my brother's friends and my brother because they were around. My parents were gone, like my mother was gone most of the summer. My dad would come back to work. My sister was with my mom. But as I said, I mean, I was in high school, but I was still independent. I had my own car, which I bought actually just a few days after my 16th birthday from a friend of my brother's who sold it to me. It was like $225 I saved up. No one bought me anything. I'll tell you that right now. But I think that there is a strong naivety at that age too, where you can get kind of sucked into something if you're working and you're in a situation in a club like Mar-a-Lago. But still, I'm surprised her father didn't kind of keep an eye on it. That's a criticism I have. All right, let's continue.
Folding towels, cleaning lockers. My father kept the tennis courts immaculate. We were just working folks trying to scrape by. Trump, he was around, but he was never the threat. The real predator was Ghislaine Maxwell, prim and proper, smiling, promising to teach me massage therapy at the Pink Mansion in Palm Beach. I had no idea I was being fed into a nightmare machine. Epstein's island was hell disguised as paradise. You've heard some names linked to him, but those are just the sacrificial pawns. The real players, the ones they've protected at all costs, are still hiding in plain sight. I'll name two now. The first, a former US president, Barack Obama. Publicly, he's revered. Privately, he was one of the worst. He wasn't there for the girls, he was there for the island boys. Young boys.
And this is the key. This is the answer. We might as well have Hillary as president right now. I mean, our foreign policy is actually, I have no idea how our foreign policy is, Hillary, Obama, Lincoln, Jack Sullivan, that gang. Let's continue. And I suppose some would say, well, this is AI. Well, let's say it's not. Because this hasn't really, yeah, it's been out there, but it hasn't been. I mean, did you hear this on Fox News?
He was never the threat. The real predator was Ghislaine Maxwell, prim and proper, smiling, promising to teach me massage therapy at the Pink Mansion in Palm Beach. I had no idea I was being fed into a nightmare machine. Epstein's island was hell disguised as paradise. You've heard some names linked to him, but those are just the sacrificial pawns. The real players, the ones they've protected at all costs, are still hiding in plain sight. I'll name two now. The first, a former US president, Barack Obama. Publicly, he's revered. Privately, he was one of the worst. He wasn't there for the girls, he was there for the island boys.
I believe this. He was sodomizing little boys. They Seth Richter. They tried to kill her in an accident. It looked a little bit weird. I mean, I have pictures of the bruising from mine, which look. I have no idea. Hers wasn't like an actual run over. I still just want to know what happened to me. But let's go on. Okay, so Seth Rich, I did a video. It's on private. It might not be on private. I took it off of private and put it on unlisted to share it with people, and no one said. They just said, "Oh, that's interesting." But at the time, it was coming from Jim Fetzer, who at that time also said, he was doing a Rense radio program. And during that time, he said that um, Seth Rich was left to die in the ICU. He would have survived the wound. Now, I used to work in selling a medical device for this purpose. My boss spent a very long time developing it, probably 15 to 20 years. He was working with a doctor. I know, I've read the material on what to do. So, and what you have is an open abdomen situation, and you do your operation, and then this is a temporary bridge so that the patient doesn't get sepsis and croak. It's a life-saving device. So he came out with this thing and had the patent on it. The patent has expired. I think, but there's different technology at this point. And he used to actually ship these to the military overseas, and he was actually donating them to the U.S. military, according to him, because he was waiting for his FDA approval, and he didn't want anything to. Or was it FDA? No, EU approval. I apologize. The European Union approval. So if someone had a bad enough wound but could survive, you get my drift. I'm getting too far in the weeds here. He was one of the worst, right?
Heard some names linked to him, but those are just the sacrificial pawns. The real players, the ones they've protected at all costs, are still hiding in plain sight. I'll name two now. The first, a former US president, Barack Obama. Publicly, he's revered. Privately, he was one of the worst. He wasn't there for the girls, he was there for the island boys. Young boys, trafficked and groomed. I saw him more times than I can count, always without his Secret Service detail, sometimes with his Hollywood friends, George Clooney and Tom Hanks. I still have nightmares about them, arrogant and drunk on power, slinking into the cabanas with kids barely out of childhood. The second, Bill Gates, the billionaire philanthropist, loved by the media, hailed as a savior. We called him the benefactor, and we used to dread seeing him naked. But he didn't come to party. He came to experiment. Genetic experiments, human experiments. I saw him inject a young girl with something they said was a genetic enhancement. She was younger than me, strapped to a table, terrified, treated like a lab rat while they muttered about seeding the future of the species. These men think they are gods, playing with life like it was theirs to own. I'm telling you now, Epstein isn't dead. They staged his death because he was too valuable. He held blackmail on some of the most powerful people on earth. Files, videos, confessions. They couldn't risk him talking, but they also couldn't risk him gone, so they hid him. Stashed him under the protection of the same elite who once paid him to supply them with flesh. And they thought killing me would stop this from coming out. They were wrong, and there is so much more to come. Hidden servers, encrypted drives, witness testimonies. It's all going to hit the light. This video is just the first detonation. The data drops are timed and automatic. They are going to people who can make a difference, and nobody can stop it now. Not even the law enforcement agencies in the US and UK, the same ones that buried the evidence I handed them, can stop this truth from getting out. If you're watching this, you are the resistance. Don't let my death be just another headline. Burn their lies to the ground. Make the world see the monsters behind the masks. And to any survivors out there, don't give up. We're in this together. They can't kill us all. Make them pay.
All right. That's it. Okay. That's the first thing I wanted to show you. When we go into my Bongino videos, as you know, I said, hell no, because he loved Obama. He utterly would go ape shit if anybody questioned the birth certificate. He himself, his background is so shady as fuck. And I said, oh hell no. Now I believe that for some odd fuck reason, this I don't even know who this Cash Patel guy is. I just see him. He was acting tough. But now he just looks like a scared little boy that's probably, has some sort of weird threat on him. Something about that guy. He's never been married. And to my knowledge, he's not dating anyone. I mean, if he's gay, just come out and say, hey, I'm gay. All of a sudden, Bongino is like his deputy secretary, whatever. And I'm like, no. In the FBI? Oh, oh, no, 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 no. Okay. So I may have to turn my volume down. No, can we bring this back, please? Oh my god, I can't believe this. Okay. I mean, how hard is this? Yeah. Okay. So first I say as dirty as they come. I noticed something about him. He has super dilated pupils to the point where his eyes look almost black. Not all the time, but in the when he okay, let's bring this up. Okay. He protected him, boy. Trump, they didn't care much about protecting him. It's funny how they can't find anyone tall enough for him. All right. Let's see what I say here. The government did. I mean, they basically diagnosed him with the C word and not cancer, and then he died. And they pretty much, put a. So, in this video, it is Robert David Steele, who a lot of people have different thoughts about. And he was either being interviewed by Alex Jones before Alex Jones went completely off the rails, or someone else mentioned in this article, which we'll get to. And I did a video. It was only a few minutes long, where I mirrored what Robert David Steele said. And I believe all of it. Rumors about Scott Walker and Paul Ryan. oh, I
and the
forgot about that.
RNC of Wisconsin. I mean, it's well known that the southeastern Wisconsin Republican Party people still don't have disclosure of the JFK, RFK, MLK. Yeah, they've been declassified. Well, okay, where are they? Okay, now right here. The deep state has saturated the web with a universal call for Kash Patel to be named the FBI director by President Trump. Here's why: Kash Patel is eyeballs deep into child trafficking and espionage. Wow. And let's keep going a little bit. Okay. Probably put your time in and you have your nice federal pension. You retired. What an idiot. Like he thinks we.
The Daily Dot. This post eventually caught the attention of Bongino himself, who responded to the unfounded claims with sarcastic disdain. Busted, folks. I have a secret to tell you. I used to be a Secret Service agent. Not sure you knew that. Now, I was on Grok. I did a search to see back in during the time that he was a Secret Service agent, when he was Obama's, we'll just call him a body man. I think that they were making maybe 50 to 60,000 a year starting out. As a cop, he was probably making about 40 in the 90s starting out. He lived in an apartment that his birth father paid for because he didn't like his stepfather. While he was attending a Catholic high school, apparently. And I hate it when people call me a folk. I'm not a folk. I ain't a busted, folks. I have a secret to tell ya. He's just very deep state. All right, well, let's kind of cut out of this, shall we? Now in the FBI, he will continue to cover for the Obama-Biden 12-year period of hell. Huge mistake. He's part of the problem. So now, let's go to Rumble. I mean, I told you all, just do a search. The videos are there. I haven't really been posting that much. And let's go. Let's see if we can get this to go.
Outlets.
Oh my God. This thing has been
saying, hey, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal. Big deal. And there's all these things going on that are hidden that you ought to know about. And he said, we need to keep the pressure on. We need to keep demanding that the people in charge release this and tell us in these files who have never been held accountable.
Accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, cash.
People that she said are directly implicated in these files who have never been held accountable, their identities are no longer going to be concealed. That's what she said. She said there's flight logs.
Here's Bongino.
Here's Dan Bongino on the Dan Bongino Show, one of the most popular shows in the country. It was exclusively on Rumble. It had an audience of hundreds of thousands of people.
He kept moving from state to state to try to get elected to office. He's always wanted to be in the government. I think he's ugly, both internally and externally. He looks like the devil. Sorry, I do not like him. And my gut feeling and the research I did, I was right. I said he will become part of the problem, and part of the problem that will be the downfall of MAGA. MAGA is dead. There is no such thing as MAGA. Tulsi Gabbard, they flipped her. RFK Jr. is sort of lukewarmly trying to swim through this bullshit in the hopes that someday he can come right out and say what the problem is. But Big Pharma finances Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. It finances all of television. Okay, let's go.
Often bigger than any of the cable shows on at the same time. Very influential show.
And I cannot believe that he took over for Rush. That was like having the devil take over for Jesus Christ, which sort of is what happened here. But let's keep going.
This is just one. I could show you dozens, probably hundreds of clips of Dan talking about this case. I don't know. This is May 2023, so probably didn't know necessarily that he was going to end up running the FBI with.
You know he always wanted to.
Patel, but now he is. So here's what he had to say.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be.
And his name is Barack Hussein Obama, one of the worst. He's, according to the dead man switch, sodomized little boys in cabanas.
You should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
It's a big deal, big deal. And there's all these things going on that are hidden that you ought to know about. And he said, we need
And by the way, sorry, Glenn, let's make you look better.
to keep the pressure on. We need to keep
the pressure on. Pam Bondi, the second I heard her name, I thought, you got to be fucking kidding. She was Attorney General of Florida when Epstein was let go. Our government right now is so utterly and totally corrupt. I honestly do not see this country surviving much longer. I really don't. And I remember the bicentennial was such a big deal. How old was I then? Let's see, 76, that whole summer, all the time. There was on TV, there was the bicentennial minute, and they'd give a piece of U.S. history. Everything kind of turned red, white, and blue, you know. Yeah. And I'm trying to think, 76. I was a young teenager. Was I 15? Well, I was 14. Yeah. So my birthday is at the end of the year, though, so it's sort of hard if you know that, like those few days or that 1 month, you know. So I was very mature and responsible for a 14-year-old, but it was kind of fun. And we were at our place up in northern Wisconsin, and went to the 4th of July parade, and everything was just wonderful. The fireworks. I was smoking cigarettes back then. I'd walk down the road, and everybody else was smoking around us, and nobody would notice the odor, or say anything really. Well, yeah, I mean, I got reprimanded a few times, and then it was just like, okay, just, no biggie after a while. I think my dad just said, just leave her be. Quarter a pack. That was Clinton that put all the taxes on it and changed everything.
need to keep demanding that the people in charge release this and tell us about it. He's one of the people in charge. And he went on that Fox News interview 6 weeks ago with Patel. Both of whom have been going around essentially saying they don't believe in any way, shape, or form that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, and in a very strange, almost forced hostage video-like way. They're like, yeah, we've seen the proof that Jeffrey Epstein, he killed him.
You could tell in that video that Bongino was running Patel.
himself. There's no doubt about it. He killed nobody else involved. He killed himself. He killed himself. Here was Kash Patel, the current FBI director, with Benny Johnson in December of 2023.
God in heaven, look at these people.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list.
Look at how he's shaking. I'm talking about Patel. Look at him. He's like, what is there? I'm telling you, and this Benny Johnson, I absolutely do not like. But I mean, this is not a look. This is the look of ugly.
It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing?
Oh, I saw you
give out the list.
Look at his.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list?
No, but as it turns out, there's no list. They were sure there's a list. They were pretty sure Bill Gates is on it. That's obviously what they're implying. Very, very strong. Not really implying, actually saying. Bill Gates is at Congress lobbying for that list not to come out. They're hiding the list. The list that these very people, same people, came out today and said does not exist. And let me just say one thing. Let's just assume, purely for the sake of argument, that let's just indulge the notion that all these people are suddenly now telling the truth. They really did look in every storage closet. They really did look in behind brooms and maintenance buckets for boxes. And they looked people's computers. They checked all the files.
Oh, sure.
They just searched high and low for the client list. They just didn't find any such thing. There is no such thing. They found the proof that he killed himself. They realized there was no incriminating blackmail. Bill Gates was never at the island having sex with underage girls like they constantly implied, or Bill Clinton.
Back when I started listening to Rush in 1996, he repeatedly made jokes about the Lolita Express, Jeffrey Epstein, and Bill Clinton continually on this plane. Why is the name Barack Hussein Obama continually left off of the mouths of these pundits?
That Biden officials were not, in fact, corruptly hiding incriminating evidence, as they claim for years, because now they themselves are saying there's no such incriminating evidence to show you. If you really want to believe that they're telling the truth, again, just purely for the sake of argument, don't you think they should be apologizing to the people that they've been smearing over the last many years, either as people who they claim are having sex with underage children at Jeffrey Epstein Island, like Bill Gates, and the Biden officials whom they claimed were corruptly concealing the client list and all this other information to protect their powerful friends at Davos and in globalists? I mean, don't they owe an apology for all these people they've been falsely and wrongly accusing for all these years? Now they're saying the same thing as those people they've been accusing. Don't they have the obligation to say, look, we're sorry for these people whose reputations we did everything we could to destroy and malign, basically accusing them of protecting the biggest pedophile ring in human history. We're sorry. Everything we said about it was wrong. And now that we're in power, we see that. Don't you think they should be doing that? Here is the aforementioned Fox News interview. This is from May with Dan Bongino and Kash Patel about how just don't trust them. Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
You want me to get, I've seen the whole.
I mean, it's clear to me by the body language that Bongino basically runs that spiel, and Obama is having this boy shred those documents and destroy that evidence.
Seen the whole file.
Okay. Now, and by the way, if he really did kill himself and there was nobody involved, that in itself is a scandal. Shouldn't the FBI director be demanding major reforms in our federal prison system to make sure that people like Jeffrey Epstein can't commit suicide when no one's watching? Oops, we just weren't watching, and he hung himself with some sheet that happened to be, or some linen that happened to be it was like a beam perfectly placed. Here's J.D. Vance with Theo Bon in October of last year, literally a month before the election. And they're talking about the Epstein list, the client list, which turns out doesn't exist. But at the time, this is what they were saying.
Everybody in politics has a vice that's much worse than alcoholism, is the way that I put it. But we
release the list.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list. That is an important thing.
I mean, okay.
A few weeks
Here
before
is
the election.
J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was one of the leading voices about the Epstein scandal, by which he means, or at least meant, that all the incriminating evidence is being covered up by top U.S. government officials at the FBI and the CIA and the Justice Department to protect all the powerful globalists who had sex with minors with Jeffrey Epstein. Here's J.D. Vance in a tweet, September 2021. I think about this Matthew Walter column about once a month. And this was a column from the journal The Week. And the headline of it was, quote, "The Jeffrey Epstein case is why people believe in Pizzagate." Basically saying that our elites have been lying to us about Jeffrey Epstein, and that's the reason why Pizzagate conspiracy theories ended up being believed, because our elites are so corrupt and hide and lie, think so much from us and lie to us all the time, like they're doing in the Jeffrey Epstein case, that if you then present any conspiracy theory to them where it suggests that people in power are doing evil things and covering it up, they're rationally inclined to believe it, because people in power do hide evidence of evil and wrongdoing, like they're doing with the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is the article that J.D. Vance not only recommended, but saying that he thinks about at least once a week. And from the article, quote, oh wait, actually, that was the article. So here's another J.D. Vance tweet, and this is from September 2021. He said this, quote, "Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a literal child sex trafficking ring? And then that guy died mysteriously in a jail, and now we just don't want to talk about it." Who doesn't want to talk about it? The White House doesn't want to talk about it. Pam Bondi talked about it for about 4 seconds, and she's like, hey, look over here, all these bad guys we're arresting. Here's another J.D. Vance tweet, December 2021, quote, "If you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? I'm sure there's a middle-class teenager somewhere who could use some harassing right now, but maybe try to do your job once in a while." I totally agree. That's why I'm doing this segment. That's why I'm asking questions. That's why I've been asking questions about this case for a long time. And why I'm not satisfied, because suddenly the Justice Department comes out and said, nothing here, nothing to see. Now again, if it's true that all these people, J.D. Vance, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, the whole MAGA world, and by the way, it's not just MAGA people, there are a lot of non-MAGA people too, who feel like this seems very strange. This guy, let's remember this. This guy, Jeffrey Epstein, when he was arrested in 2018 and then killed himself, this was not the first time he was arrested and charged with trafficking minors for sex. He was charged with that in Florida a decade earlier, and he pled guilty to it. He was convicted. And when he got this shockingly lenient, generous deal where he spent like 3 seconds in prison, and then the rest were like, he had house arrest in his Palm Beach mansion. And when it became known that happened, they went to Alex Acosta, who at the time was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, And then he ended up being in various stages, various other positions of the government, including where he needed Senate confirmation. And they said to him, why did you give Jeffrey Epstein such a sweetheart deal? And he said, I was told he was, quote, intel and to leave him alone. So it's not like these things just got invented by a bunch of conspiracy theorists on the internet. There were huge questions about why Jeffrey Epstein got that deal that he got back in 2010, I believe it was, 2009, whenever that was. And then very powerful people continued to consort with him closely, knowing that he had a conviction for trafficking minors for sex, for commercial sex. So, of course, there's all kinds of questions about why the most powerful people are there, why we know so little about it, why he mysteriously killed him. These are all things that did not just emerge out of nowhere. I'm not saying I believe what I'm about to show you is true, but I do nonetheless think it's worth noting it just because it happened, and it didn't just come from a random Twitter user. It came from Elon Musk, who was as close of a Trump ally and was embedded. Let's remember, he was embedded in the U.S. government.
I begin to disagree with Glenn. And he's talking about the Elon Musk tweet. I don't like Trump right now, but I don't believe. I think he liked younger, hot or women younger than he was when he was a playboy. But I think I still go back to Barack Obama, and Glenn does not mention this. So, there's the Syria thing, which, again, I don't want to talk about, but right now. Okay, so what else did I want to discuss with you? Okay, so yesterday I was listening to Garland Nixon, and people are talking about this ZOHRAN, whatever his last name is or first name or whatever, in who's a socialist in NYC. Now, it should be noted that the first half of the 20th century, we had two socialist mayors here. One was named Hone, the other was named Ziegler. Okay. The city did fine, you know. We had a Dem by the name of Meyer who ran a tight ship with crime. I mean, if you had a noisy muffler on your car, you were going to get pulled over and you were going to get a ticket and you were going to get that thing fixed. Or if your stereo was too loud, you were going to get pulled over. You were going to get a ticket. And you were not going to drive around with it that loud, you know. All right. So we're shifting gears. Listen closely to what Garland says here. He makes some fabulous points every now and then, it just where you won't hear it anywhere else. Hopefully that volume should be okay. Maybe too loud. There we go. And here we go. Oops. What the fuck am I doing? Okay, let's go.
Going home. So now it really is nothing but a war machine. It is a worthless, wasted, rubblized war machine. Is it going to attack Iran again? Hey, they're going to attack Iran before. Let me just say this. After what Iran did in the first 12 days, if they attack Iran, they better not plan for longer than 12 days or there ain't going to be much of Israel left. And I don't think Iran is going to be kind. Anyway, so I'll say the last by ending up. So meanwhile, some guy named Zohran Mamdani or something wins in New York. Let me comment on Zohran Mamdani because of however that I don't know how it's pronounced. There's a good thing here. And the good thing is somebody ran and said, hey, I'm not down with Zionism, and they won. Okay, that's, I guess, a win in a way.
The
Whatever,
primary.
who knows? I don't know. Symbolically, again, symbolic wins ain't going to do a damn thing for the Palestinians who are being starved and having bombs dropped on them. But this is my opinion, like it or not. He's DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. Just like Bernie and just like AOC. If you like Bernie and AOC, you'll love Zohran Mamdani. These are people. Here's what I've said about the left in America. Here's what I have to say about the left in America. The fake so-called left in America, the imperialist left in America, the warmongering assistance for the system left in America. Not like the left in America, like the me's in America, or there's left in America who have had enough of this crap and we don't go along with the system. But this guy's DSA, Democratic Socialists for America, and all you need to do is look at AOC and see what you got. They sound good when they're running. They say great things. Think about Bernie. Sound wonderful things. So we've got to do this, and Netanyahu, screw him, and blah, 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 blah. What happens when the massacre and genocide started? Oh, we can't have what did he say? A ceasefire only helps Hamas. It only helps Hamas? Well, wait a minute, but they're committing genocide. So when it comes down to it, which one, Bernie or AOC, which one of them is standing up trying to stop the genocide that's been going on for 2.5 years now? Neither one of them. Which one of them is pushing back against U.S. imperialism, U.S. militarism? They're standing there, yes, we've got to do more to help these plucky little Nazis in Ukraine. We've got to stand with Israel. Israel is our friend. This guy Zohran Mamdani, as they say, he knows the music, but he don't know the words. Or the other way around, he knows the words, but he don't know the music. The bottom line is this, in my opinion, he's just another Democratic Socialist for America candidate. Will say all the right things, and he's perfect. You know what's perfect about this guy? And that is, he freaks out the Trump people. It's perfect to keep the idiots fighting each other, to keep the morons beating each other over the head. He hasn't even won yet. He hasn't won a damn thing. And yet the Trump people, he ain't won a damn thing. Tell me, all Trump people that are so scared. How's Bernie and AOC? They're symbolic. They're symbolic socialists. You're afraid of the symbolic socialists. They're your biggest friend. What they do is they sheepdog people into the Democratic Party because they give them hope that there'll be change. They give them hope so they can go, if Mamdani now, maybe this system somehow, and the Democrats, and maybe they can be changed. Maybe we can fix this from the inside out. Why, we'll just vote in people like Zohran Mamdani, and then all will be well. And all he has to say is, I'm against genocide. Well, that's kind of a low bar. Would you say, people are like, well, he's against genocide. I'm like, you're supposed to be against genocide. I'm not going to give you a prize. It's like, hey, how's it going? Which candidate you are? Well, I've looked around. I found one. He's a piece of crap, but at least he's against genocide. You're not supposed to support a person that's for genocide. So the fact that you're pretending because he's against genocide that makes him some kind of a great hero, it just makes him a person, a human being. He's supposed to be, and I don't trust him. His wife apparently is a Syrian artist, and my understanding is
right here.
She was big. She was very much anti-Assad, which that's the CIA. So she's out here pushing the white.
The CIA overthrew that government. I've done a lot of videos on this, but they were done in 2018 on the Some Girls channel. They are on private. They, the blue and white country has wanted to get in touch with their oil for a long time. And they need to go through Syria. They just want to take everything over. We were paying well, no, this guy ran, or was Al Qaeda part of the group that took down the Twin Towers, and now he's our friend. He put on a suit, changed his name, and he's our friend. No, he's an operative. And when they're finished with him, they'll either chase him out or kill him, like they did Gaddafi.
White helmet CIA prize. It's like, hey, how's it going? Which candidate you work? Well, I've looked around. I found one. He's a piece of crap, but at least he's against genocide. You're not supposed to support a person that's for genocide. So the fact that you're pretending because he's against genocide that makes him some kind of a great hero, it just makes him a person, a human being. He's supposed to be, and I don't trust him. His wife apparently is a Syrian artist, and my understanding is she was very much anti-Assad, which that's the CIA. So she's out here pushing the white helmet CIA rhetoric against Assad. I'm very, very, very wary of people when their history was, for one reason or another, pushing the, it's like if some guy comes in and they're like, what do you do? Well, he escaped from North Korea and he's an anti-North Korean person. I know that he's funded by the CIA. Well, he left Russia and came here and he hates Russia. He's funded by the CIA. Oh, former Iranian so-and-so who's come here and he is pissed at the boat. He's funded by the CIA.
Right there.
So when you got Joe Blow, the Syrian activist, really, what do they act? They were been acting against Assad, and now they think that Jelani's great, but he's a ISIS terrorist. Yeah, but at least he ain't Assad. They're funded by the CIA. I don't trust her. Don't trust her. Don't trust him. Who knows? It's possible that I could be proven wrong. But when I look at a picture of him, and I see that liberal blue and yellow color of Ukraine that is on everything liberal in America. Everything liberal in America is blue and yellow, the color of Ukrainian propaganda. And this guy has, even in his Twitter, let me see, Mondani. Let me see if I can find a picture of him. There you go. Right, look at this. Look at this. So here we got Mamdani. Look at the colors. Blue and yellow, that Ukrainian crap, right? Let's see. All over this guy you'll see this blue and yellow. Look at that, blue yellow. Everywhere you look around this guy, there's the blue and yellow. Boom, look at this. Blue and yellow. So everything for this guy is Ukrainian colors. I don't hear him say anything about. So I'm just saying, I don't trust him as far as I can throw his blue and yellow signs. And if somebody else would say, yes, Obama model 3.0, exactly. Think about it. He's perfect for the liberals. Well, they're standing up for the, I don't know, he's a person of color. He's a something or other. Maybe he's a psyop. I don't know. Maybe he's a good. I don't know. I don't know. We will see. But he really works well to freak the Republicans out too. He's really good at that, and that's part of the game. You've got to put somebody out there, and the Republicans look at him and they can't see through psyops as far as nothing. They just go, oh, no, Muslim, socialist. Think about that. Muslim and socialist. If you really wanted to freak the Trumpers out, what would you use? Muslim, socialist.
Right there.
You got them. Their hair will be on fire and they'll go nuts. You let me join that. You let me join. You come to me. CIA, Garland, here's what we're going to do. We want you to come up with a plan to freak out the Republicans completely. And we need a foundation here. I'd be like, well, you can start with a Muslim and make them a socialist. And boom, these people go berserk. They'll never see through it. They'll never think it's a psyop. Ever. They'll trust that this is really the truth and blah, blah, blah. So we shall see. And I'm like, okay. So the bottom line is this. I don't trust that crap. I don't trust it as far as I can trust the no kings No Kings. Oh my. Got the love. We got to finish with the No King.
Oh, this is
That's what we
really
got to
good.
do. Where are we? If you want it now, if you want to find out all about the new No Kings and you want to know who's behind it, who's charging it, here we just contact these two people. The spokespeople available: Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Yes, two arch Zionists. Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin. Old Leah Greenberg, who used to work with the State Department.
Right there.
Ezra Levin, he was one of the people with Obama people, and he ran. Ezra Levin ran a. What was it? It was a nonprofit that was funded by BlackRock.
Yo,
Those
so
are the
you
people.
have
Maybe you could check Lisa Gilbert and
the State Department and BlackRock funding the No Kings protest. I mean, you can't make this shit up. We are so heavily infiltrated on both sides. It's just really insane.
Robert Weissman. Yes, sirree. There you go. So the bottom line is, this thing is arch Zionist from top to bottom.
Oh, God,
these are the spokespeople. Arch Zionists from top to bottom. No Kings. Hands off NATO.
Right there.
But and you notice they say nothing about the genocide, nothing about the Middle East, nothing about anything. No Kings. Check with Robert Weissman and Leah Greenberg and look them up. Ezra Levin, look them up. Look them up. They're working with. Gee, I wonder if any of those NGOs they work for were funded by USAID or the National Endowment for Democracy. You think maybe when Leah Greenberg was working for the State Department, she might have been up to no good around the world? But certainly not here. I would be willing to bet that this is not the first, shall we say, regime change protest operation that they've been involved in this world. Yeah. I'm just throwing it out there. I bet it ain't. I mean, this is the game. This is the game. And I guess somebody's going to say, "Well, Garland, that's I don't know what, anti-Semitic." I didn't choose their names. I didn't say Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin because they sound like Jewish names. Those are their names. Is it what I'm not supposed to say? Robert Weissman and Lisa Gilbert. I'm not supposed to say their names. What am I supposed to say? There are some people involved in this who, I would say their names, but they sound kind of Jewish. So if I actually say their name, so what? If their name was Tyrone Jefferson, hey, some brother named Tyrone Jefferson, I'd say, hey, Tyrone Jefferson's in charge. Hey, Garland, you're a racist. You said Tyrone Jefferson. Yeah, Tyrone Jefferson's probably a brother, but his mother named them. Don't ask me. Don't hate me because Tyrone Jefferson's a brother. I can listen to that name and say, I'm not saying for sure he is, but the odds are overwhelming. And Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin do sound like Jewish names. I wouldn't care if it was Bill Smith and Mary Jones. If they had been involved in the State Department and run BlackRock and had run BlackRock supported NGOs in the past and stuff like that, I'd say they're up to no good. I think they're up to no good. So at any rate, that's that. Thanks a lot, everybody. Oh, that somebody said, pack your bags, Garland. Next step is El Salvador. Yeah, I think I probably got a cell there with my name on it. Alligators swimming around just waiting to nibble on me. Oh, boy. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Certainly appreciate everybody taking their time out. Happy 4th of July. False flag. Happy false flag. False flag day. That's what I'm calling it. Have a wonderful time, everybody. Make sure you share this on all your social media platforms. And once again, follow me on Rockfin and Rumble and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so if we go to right here, and we start looking up some shit with AOC. Okay. 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 Doing an impression of De Niro. Okay. Um, so they're talking about another man, which leads us to ask why Republican National Party goons haven't already questioned AOC's ties to this guy. One look at him is enough to immediately blackwash her resume. I will tell you why the Republicans are silent on this. It is outside the rules. The Republican Democrat fights are all scripted on minor points, and they don't wish anyone to realize that both parties are funded by and run by the same trillionaire families. Now, we've heard that before, but they don't wish you to look too closely at Sheedy. That's okay. I wanted to get to AOC is a better front woman since her spiel doesn't immediately break down in the first minute. But in the end, she is from the same mold. Okay. Which is why we found her a job or two. If you're not laughing yet, get ready. After not doing all of this, AOC was apparently still broke and having to bartend and wait tables at a tequila when she decided to launch her grassroots congressional campaign in 2018. She told Bon Appetit magazine, for 80% of this campaign, I operated out of a paper grocery bag hidden behind that bar. What was in the bag? I mean, anyone who has ever bartended or waited tables knows that's literally impossible. You think she was cold calling donors and maintaining fundraising spreadsheets between pouring shots? That's absurd. It becomes more absurd now that we know AOC basically ran the Justice Department's Political Action Committee while simultaneously supporting her primary campaign. So AOC helped raise nearly $2 million and get 26 candidates across the country elected out of a grocery bag behind the bar. Incredible. By the way, operating a PAC that endorses your own political campaign is a massive violation of campaign law. Of course, sites like Fox News and the Daily Caller want you to think that this is the real crime. But once you realize the entire election process is a sham and that all political offices are sinecures, getting huffy about breaking down campaign rules is sort of missing the forest for the trees. AOC's dad is more or less a ghost. Sergio Ocasio-Roman died of cancer in 2008, founded an architecture firm in the early 80s called Kirschenbaum Ocasio-Roman PC. The company is now defunct, though it is not clear why, since there was obviously another partner listed in the name who could have kept the business going after Sergio's death. But we know nothing of this Kirschenbaum except that he was Jewish, of course. See, for instance, Jewish comedian Fred Kirschenbaum. The media loves to drudge up the fact that AOC's dad was the CEO of an architectural firm as proof that she grew up wealthy. On the contrary, the business was listed as having annual revenues of $500,000 and 6 employees. After payroll, taxes, and keeping the lights on, that would pretty much leave them in the hole. It certainly wouldn't leave enough for Sergio to afford a house in Westchester County. So the truth is even fishier than the fiction. Clearly, Kirschenbaum Ocasio-Roman is another shell company. If you look up its former address, 1510 Archer Road, Bronx, New York, you get a nondescript apartment building with no business listed. So Sergio ran his architectural firm for 25 years out of an apartment? Kind of like AOC running a PAC out of her paper bag. Now, for the interesting part, AOC clearly already admits she has Sephardic Jewish ancestry, though she has passed it off in interviews as a very distant bloodline. AOC insists that she is from a long line of Catholics. But on Jenny.com, we find her grandmother listed as Thamar Niedra, I don't know. Picasso is a Hebrew name, of course. That's not the part I wanted to talk about. I can't really say all this right now on YouTube. Okay. The part I really wanted to talk about, because I don't want to offend anyone here. She came from quite a rich family. Married is okay. Sotomayor, that name comes up. Oh boy. I guess the part I wanted to really get to, I can't find right now. Okay. I think I might have to end my video because I think I'm going to start screwing it up here. You know what? I can't find the part I wanted to read because he's going so far back in genealogy here. Wow. I can't believe how I kind of screwed this up at this point. Okay. Again, State Department. Now, who also worked for the State Department? Interning, but Meghan Markle. She claims she stopped because she couldn't pass the test, which, to be honest with you, I'm sure there is a study guide to, number one. And number two, if she has a degree in foreign relations, from Northwestern University, none of which I believe, by the way. And she couldn't pass a basic exam to work as a diplomat after graduating from college. But then she somehow snags a prince, fakes 2 pregnancies. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. I'll find the part that I wanted to read you. So weirder things are happening. Okay. But she was financed by someone in the State Department, in the government. We have some problems here in this country that are really bad. It's the CIA, the Justice Department, the FBI, and even Tulsi Gabbard is folded. Trump is gone. I mean, he turned a corner for me. So, all right. I hope you guys sort of enjoyed this video.